I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Courtside Soundoff podcast. Once again, I'm Josh Shevanoff, as always, welcomed by the one and only man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, future Jiu-Jitsu world champion, Angel Ortega. We got a lot of stuff to talk about this week, boys. A lot of news, and also, it is UFC 295 Fight Week. As always, we are brought to you by two fantastic sponsors of the show, Rogue Energy and Elixir.com. Rogue Energy, keep you fueled up, keep you going throughout your day, whether you're at the gym, at home, or at work. We'll get you to the finish line, and they'll help you get there with code SOUNDOFF at checkout for 10% off. Elixir, the exact opposite end of the spectrum. Going to get you really high with their Delta 8 products. They got everything you could possibly want. You can get it for 10% off with code SOUNDOFF at checkout. Once again, RogueEnergy.com and Elixir.com, code SOUNDOFF at checkout. Well, Angel, it was UFC. We're back in Brazil on Saturday, and all in all, I'd say it was a pretty decent card. That main event, though, Jailton Almeida, pure dominance, getting the unanimous decision win, 50-44, 50-44, 50-45, read the scorecards. You know, ultimately, I saw some people saying that this was a disappointing performance for Jailton, and I can understand that standpoint. Derek Lewis coming in short notice. He did have a lot of moments in there. He was able to reverse, able to land some big shots at various points throughout the fight. Still, though, Jailton not even losing a round, positional dominance throughout. What'd you think about his win on Saturday night?
I mean, it was dominant. You got to respect it. I think at the end of the day, you would have liked to see him, finish the fight, or maybe go for more ground and pound, or find positions where you could get elbows or something like that, and try to find a submission. It ended up being kind of boring because it seemed like there was a lot of I don't want to say stalling, but just kind of like complacency. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, in the end, he ended up getting it. And I'll tell you what, I mean, those moments when Derek Lewis got up were very exciting because you're like, oh, because you knew it was possible. Anything could happen at any moment. But I think there was a lot of, I think Jailton was thinking, okay, I need to manage, I need to be intelligent here, because I think at times I believe that he thought if he had advanced or tried to change position, there was potential for Derek to get up. And I don't believe he wanted to take those risks to allow Derek to have those opportunities, which is completely understandable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably a good way to put it, man. It was just a lot of complacency. He did not really feel like he had to move position. And, Mark Goddard wasn't stepping him up. He threatened it multiple times. I thought we were going to get our first stand-up from Mount since Kimbo versus Dada.
I felt like we should have got one in the fifth, if I'm being honest with you.
I completely agree, yeah.
I feel like if there was any time where it was warranted, it should have been the fifth, where there was like a good 2 minutes, because I think I actually kind of kept track of like really nothing. And I think that would have been one of the more appropriate times, personally, in my opinion. And personally, I mean, just how I felt. At the end of the day, nothing ended up coming of it, but so be it.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it was what it was. I don't honestly have a whole lot to say about this fight. Jailton, man, I mean, he looked good early, but I think in round 4 and 5, he very much slowed to the point to where, like you said, I think there should have been a stand-up. On the mat, he wasn't very active, especially, like I said, in those championship rounds. For Derek, it's going to sound weird. I came out of this being more impressed with Derek Lewis, not because he won or anything, but just because I did not expect a damn near 40-year-old Derek Lewis coming in here on short notice to go the 5 rounds, to be able to just stand up, to have good moments. Against a young lion who has just been so dominant. In terms of moving forward, though, we kind of knew for Derek, this fight, win, lose, or draw, wasn't going to do a whole lot. I mean, if he won, it would have done a lot for him, but win, lose, or draw, he's not going to get cut or anything, just signed a big deal. For Jailton, do you think this kind of put a bit of a damper on his future title plans? I mean, he moved 2 spots up in the rankings, but this was not exactly the dominant win that a lot of people were looking for.
I think he's still going to have to work, obviously, to get up there. I don't think they're going to give him a title shot anytime soon, or a name like Searle or the loser, potentially maybe even a Stipe or Sergey. I don't think, or Sergey or Tom. I think he's probably going to still end up having to fight a guy like Volkov or Curtis Blades. And obviously, the Curtis Blades, this was supposed to originally be Curtis Blades, and I think they still want to go in that direction. And that's still stylistically, I think, a very good matchup. And I think that'll show a lot, for Jalton, and it'll make him maybe have to do certain things he hasn't had to do in his other fights. And I think that's the right way to go next. Regardless of, I think no matter the outcome of this fight, I feel like the next fight still was going to have to be Curtis Blades, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fully agree. I think that's the most logical fight for both guys next. I would love to see it, especially for the grappling, man. I'm way more intrigued to see that after seeing Derek Lewis have some success in the grappling, man. And then not a whole lot, albeit. Like, let me be very clear. This was a very dominant win. I saw some people that were saying, like, this is a fraud check moment for Jailton Almeida. I'm like, what are you guys fucking talking about, man? Like, he won every single round relatively easily. Like, he got gas at points, and there was disappointing moments, but still a dominant win. I want to see that Blades fight rebooked. For Derek Lewis, who knows who he will fight next, but realistically, you give him anybody, and it will be exciting. Who do you want to see next for Derek Lewis, man? I'm just taking a quick look at the rankings. I mean, what do you say about Alexander Romanov, man? Think that'd be a good one for him.
I mean, that could be fun. I think Romanov does need to get a little push too, now that he's come back, and we found out he had some personal stuff going on that affected his previous performance. So I think that's potentially an option. Another grappler though for Derek, so I'm sure he's not gonna be a big fan of that, but I mean, there isn't a lot to choose from here, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There really isn't, and unless he's gonna do some rematch with someone, maybe unless they do like a Tai Tuivasa rematch, which doesn't seem very unrealistic to me personally. I feel like they could do it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just odd. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of great choices for Derek, and the one that makes sense isn't a good matchup for him at all.
Yeah, he's definitely in a weird position just because heavyweight's in a really weird spot. I mean, we'll be previewing the interim title fight, later on in the show, but UFC's heavyweight division in general right now, just in a very strange spot. And this fight didn't really do anything to clear it up. I mean, ideally, whenever you book a fight like this, you're hoping one of these guys goes out there and gets Derek gets the knockout win, or Jailton goes out there and just dominates. And he did, but it wasn't the type of domination that you want to see, so.
It's all good, Josh. I'm still here waiting for my Alexander Volkov championship moment,
And you know what, Angel? We're gonna you know what? Fuck it. You know who they should rebook? They should do Alexander Volkov versus Derek Lewis.
I think Volkov's like on a 2-fight win streak right now, though. And he's ranked above him.
He's on a 3-fight winning streak.
Oh shit, my boy putting in that work.
But this is exactly what I'm saying though, Angel. This allows him to redeem himself from that fight 5 years ago. Which was it's an all-time banger. Balls is hot. I mean, it was Habib Connor, like, I'm selling you on this. I know I am, like, it's just.
I mean, I don't know. I think Volkov could fight someone up higher in the rankings personally. I don't know who, but I'm sure he could potentially get one of that.
But Angel, we'll talk about the title fights later on in the show, but the rankings do not matter, my friend.
No, I know that.
Yeah, he just needs to get a big win, and maybe he'll get a title shot. Who knows?
Potentially.
Realistically not, but it's just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I said, you can book Derek against anybody. I'm just being, being too optimistic.
That is one nice thing about Derek Lewis. You could put him in there with anyone, because you know what could happen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Speaking of guys that you can put in there with anyone, dude, Nicholas Dalby. And speaking of fraud check moments, I don't know if I don't think it's a fraud check moment. I think he's still very good. But god damn, Nicholas Dalby fucked up Gabriel Bonfim on Saturday night, man. Just a ruthless in the clinch, knees, elbows.
Not initially though. We do gotta, kind of reel it back a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead.
It looked good for Bonfim early on. He seemed like we kind of were like, okay, well, this seems kind of like it's going the right direction, Or kind of what probably like a lot of people expected, and then Nicholas Dalby turns it around on us, bro.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why I'm not calling it a fraud check moment, because I saw some people saying that it was, and I'm like, dude, he looked very good early, but Nicholas Dalby, you mentioned that first round, into the second round, I mean.
I think 4-fight win streak right now, too, for Nicholas Dalby. It's not 3.
Yeah, 4-fight winning streak, but dude, elbows, knees, punches. The whole fucking kitchen sink was being thrown at that kid by Nicholas Dalby, man. What did you think about his win overall? And like you mentioned, four wins in a row and some very good names in that stretch. He's coming on in his late 30s, man. Who do you want to see him potentially fight next if you have anybody?
By the way, he's turning 39 this month, approaching 40 soon.
I know.
I will say, you got to tip it though. Those last 4 wins, you're not wrong. Those are very good. A little rough there with the Tim Means one, but before that, he had D-Rod in there, Cowboy Oliveira. I mean, that's a pretty solid group right there. Only one loss since his return to the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I mean, he might have to. I don't know. You might want to do a little push here. I don't know, potentially. He's an interesting guy because of his age, right? So I don't know what they'll want to do with him. But one thing I did want to bring up, Josh, while we're talking about the co-main now and kind of all the cards underneath, dude, some of the Brazilian guys, and we already talked about 2 of them, kind of, and some other prospects on this card ended up kind of, I don't want to say letting us down, but kind of had like alright performances, like, Gabriel Bonfim, Jalton Almeida, another guy, Cal Barale versus August Magomedov, a little underwhelming, right?
Angel, they let me down. You can say it. They just straight up let me down. Yeah.
And not even just that, and granted, this was a banger fight, but like another guy who was seeming to be on this dominant reign, hopefully going into the rankings, Renat Fracadino versus Aleski dos Santos, which ended up being a banger.
What did you think about that decision, though? About that decision in that fight, Renat versus Aleski dos Santos, that fight becoming a majority draw? How did you score that one?
By the way, I was going back and forth when I was watching this one. This is the only fight I didn't watch in its entirety, just so you know, which is sad. Because it ended up being a banger. But this is the one fight I didn't watch in its entirety.
Yeah, I thought I scored that fight for Renat. I thought it was a tough fight to score, though. I will say that. It was a banger fight. I thought that first round could have been a 10-8 for Renat, and that third round could have been a 10-8 for Dos Santos. Like, it was back and forth, but not in the way that most fights normally are. It was typically just one guy beating the shit out of the other one.
Yeah.
For long stretches of time.
Dude, it was crazy. I can tell you, I went back and forth. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? But I will say, to highlight, like, 2 Brazilians that I thought came out of this and did, like, very well. Obviously, Eduardo Moura would be my girl, Monserrat Ruiz on the early prelims. Victor Petrino, this one was a big surprise to me, Josh, because he was taking on Modestas Bukauskas, who, with Victor, he hasn't been a professional that long. I feel like at times you've noticed that he is green. He did have an amateur career. He turned pro in 2019. He was knocking out a bunch of guys early on in the first round, and obviously he made the jump to the UFC, and I thought it might have been a little too early. And so far, his athleticism has shown pretty much carried him through, because he's 26. He's very young. He turned 26 this year. And this check hook finish over Modestas Bukauskas was like, all right, this is okay. There's potential here. Yeah. We know where this could potentially go.
Yeah, well, it turns out that Brazilian motherfuckers named Vitor are if you're named Vitor and you're Brazilian, there's no other path for you. Like, you're born a fighter. You know what I mean? I was very impressed, especially because, Modestas Bukauskas, on his, I guess he just started his second UFC tenure, but still, his second UFC tenure, he's been very impressive to me. Tyson Pedro and Zach Pauga are both very good wins. And so for Vitor to go out there and, like you said, that check fucking hook, dude, just a brutal knockout win. He's really, on a night where a couple of, a lot of young people disappointed us, that was a very impressive knockout win. In terms of, like, the rest of the card, I loved seeing Angela Hill getting back on the right track, man. I believe she suffered a loss last time out, and I believe that's going to be 3 of 4 for her. So you love to see it there. I gotta ask you this, Angel, and I think, I don't know if you know this, I'm pretty sure that the UFC is just, like, randomly generating some of these fights, though. Like, no, I'm dead serious. Like, I had no idea Dontel Mays versus Rodrigo Nascimento was a rematch until fight night.
I saw it, but I couldn't remember the circumstance.
Yeah, you didn't remember that they just fought like a year ago, 2 years ago. You didn't know, did you?
3 years ago. 3 years
ago, my bad. Yeah. Yeah, somebody's like, dude, they're just rematching random guys now. But yeah, so that is pretty funny. But yeah, man, in terms of UFC Sao Paulo, look, man, I mean, this is the second trip to Brazil this year. The one in January was, I thought it was fine. It was weird, but it was still a lot of fun, I thought. What would you rate this card, man? Out of 10, what do you think?
I think it's a 7.
Yeah.
I think it's a 7. I think obviously the main event ended up being a little underwhelming, but we knew, knowing that potentially could happen. Like I said, Calvario kind of disappointed me a little bit in his Abus Magomedov fight. He still ended up getting the win, but I feel like for kind of the attention he's receiving, kind of the hype he's been getting, I wanted a little bit more. But at the same time, maybe Abus came out better. You know, you gotta give. That's the other way you gotta think about it. So, and like I said, he still got the win, still got the decision. So, you know, credit where credit is due.
Well, and you also got to go ahead and give a bit of credit to Abus in the way that we said it last week, dude. For one round, he's a dog. You know, like that first round, he's gonna look pretty sharp on the feet. Maybe even into the second. You know,
he paced himself a little better this time around, though.
He did, because you got to remember that fight with Sean was literally his second UFC fight, first UFC main event. Like, crazy to think about that he even got that one. And now he suffered a loss to Caio Borralho. Whenever you think about it, but yeah, I mean. Yeah, Caio, I still have high hopes for him, man. I mean, I thought that fight was fine. You know, it was just fine. You know, wasn't exactly everything I wanted out of him, but he's still a very good young kid.
Who do you think he should fight next? Because I think he's in the rankings now, right?
I could pull up the rankings.
He's not. I thought he would have broke through with that. I guess the UFC was not. It was like, that's not going to cut it, son. But he'll probably end up fighting a ranked opponent next.
Anthony Hernandez. No, I don't know. Chris Curtis, maybe. I don't know.
Dang, everybody's just getting thrown at Chris Curtis. Jack Hermanson, I think, would be a good shot. I know Jack is 9.
That's because Chris Curtis is so fucking entertaining, Angel.
No, you're not wrong. Jack Hermanson, I think, is a good shout. I'm a little thrown off, though, Josh. I feel like, no disrespect, but I think they need to remove Kelvin if he's going to move to 170 at this point from the 185 rankings.
Dude, I don't understand the UFC's fucking rankings. Like, how they, I mean, I understand that technically it's done by like 30 media members who none of which I know or have ever heard of or can prove are real people. But dude, I hate that they do that. I fully agree. But they do this for other fighters too. Like, they leave him in that division until they fight next time out.
Like, it's very annoying to see Kelvin here because I'm assuming Cal was probably 15 now. Like, I would assume so. It makes sense, right?
He would have to be, yeah.
It's just odd to me that he isn't. I don't know who else could be fucking 15 at this point or right there on the edge.
I don't know, man. He's got to be getting close, you know? So.
Regardless, I believe he gets a ranked opponent next. I don't know who it will be, but I think we actually might be surprised at who could be, if anything. I think they might give him a guy who's decently up there, potentially.
I agree. I would love to see him get a ranked guy, or at least somebody high profile.
By the way, I brought up Jack Hermanson. We haven't seen that fucker in a while.
I can't even remember when was Jack Hermanson's last fight. It was the fight with
Curtis. I think it's a Chris Curtis fight. I could be wrong. No, Roman Dolidze.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He got murked by Roman last time out, and then he was supposed to fight Brendan Allen, which would have been a banger, but he pulled out.
Brunson injury and Hermanson injury. Yeah, I don't know. It's been over a year now, or we're going to be closing in on a year of him not fighting.
Interesting. Hey, man, I love me some Jack Hermanson, dude. So we'll see. We will see.
I still love how I brought up the fact. I'm like, could you imagine if they made Chimaev fight Jack Hermanson in MMA after he beat him in a wrestling match?
Well, hey, I mean, dude, Angel, we'll talk about it later on in the news section, but Hamza Chimaev is going to be doing a little bit of waiting, so who knows? Maybe, dude, Jack Hermanson is going to get his fucking revenge. It's not even going to be close, Angel. Jokes aside, I think we should move on because arguably the greatest UFC card of the year. Now, to be fair, there's been some excellent competition, and I think this one took a major hit, which we've already talked about, in the form of John Jones, Stipe. But in terms of main card, in terms of straight-up fights, man, it does not get much better than UFC 295. Headlined by light heavyweights, former champion Jiri Prochazka back for the first time since he won the strap last June in Singapore, submitting Glover Teixeira. Crazy to think about, Angel. Now Glover's retired. I mean, that was a year and a half ago. So much has changed. A year and a half ago, Alex Pereira hadn't even won his fight to get the title shot yet. Not only now, he's fighting up at light heavyweight. He's a former champion. And Angel, he's going to be the second man, let me rephrase, first man to headline Madison Square Garden twice. History for Alex Pereira. Not only history. Yeah. Angel. Wow. Yeah, that's a fun stat for you for the day. Maybe I'll return the UFC 295 fun facts thread on Twitter. You guys may have to keep an eye out for that. But anyways, yeah, first time ever somebody's headlining MSG twice for MMA anyway. And he will look to become a two-weight UFC champion.
Isn't that crazy?
Now, yeah, and dude, I mean, we're under 3 years that he's been. I mean, technically he just had 2-year anniversary with the UFC, but like, dude, it's fucking crazy to think about. I mean, he debuted at MSG November 2021.
We got to bring up the fact we got to congratulate him. He was inducted into the Glory Kickboxing Hall of Fame.
Yep.
You got to tip it. 2-weight champ also in Glory, I believe. It could be incorrect there, but just something that's also going on this week. I don't know if you saw the embedded, Josh, but you saw he got emotional. It was actually kind of, It was very weird seeing him vulnerable because he never shows a lot of emotion. I don't know. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I did see it, and it was very odd. But at the same time, it's like, man, he's been showing more of his personality.
He's a funny guy, man. Like we talked about it privately. I'm like, man, I can't deny it. I like some Alex Pereira when he's not fighting Israel Adesanya. I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like weird. It's kind of like the Volk thing. Remember, Josh? And I was like, man, I kind of have to admit it. I kind of like me some Volkanovski when he's not fighting Max Holloway.
Exactly. Whenever he's not fighting my favorite fighters, I love him. And dude, like Alex Pereira, I mean, he got the. It's fucking crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy. Now I don't understand. I don't know how we're the only people talking about this because I haven't seen other people say this, but like with a win on Saturday night, you can make a very good conversation that Alex Pereira is the greatest combat sports athlete of all time.
At least up there.
He's up there. I mean, former 2-division champion in kickboxing in Glory. He's not. I mean, I always make fun of him for this because I do think it's very funny that he calls himself a world kickboxing champion. But he's not fucking doing the Andrew Tate kickboxing. He's not fucking ISKA, fucking WBC, fucking 24/7 champion, right?
Euro champ, North European champion, anything like that. No,
exactly.
This guy's fighting in Glory against the best.
He's a 2-division champion from Glory, the best of the best. And he went to the UFC, already became one champion up at middleweight, and now he might do it again at light heavyweight. And he's still under 10 fights for his MMA career. Alex Pereira, with the win, he's in the conversation. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it, but he absolutely is.
Well, and I think we gotta like kind of open up that conversation a little bit more now, Josh, kind of like to explain because we gotta think like put the names that would also kind of be in that conversation because we gotta think about people like guys like Henry Cejudo, gold Olympian, gold medalist Olympian. 2-weight champ in the UFC, Holly Holm, boxing champ, MMA champ, beat Ronda Rousey, big upset at its time. Daniel Cormier, former Olympian. Who else can you throw in there now? Well, Francis Ngannou now, right? To an extent, obviously he hasn't won a strap, but just for the crossover, and obviously who knows if we'll get there, right? But just to mention it, right? I don't know who else you can throw in there, kind of off the top of my head. At a point in time, Josh Krokop, right?
I'm not educated enough. I don't even
not as high, but he did have a successful.
He had a nice career in K1. I think Alistair Overeem you can make a case for too. The Reem went from he essentially did what Ngannou did, but like he actually completed it. Like he went to K1 and became a K1 heavyweight champion, and he won the Grand Prix, I believe, in 2010. Yeah. And he beat if you guys have not watched Overeem's K1 run. Like, if you just want to sit down for a day, and I mean, like, literally a day, because all of his fights ended in, like, the first or second round. So it's like, it would take, like, an hour.
And a Brock Lesnar?
Brock Lesnar's another good pick, but I think you can make a case that Brock Lesnar, maybe not combat sports, but Brock Lesnar may be the greatest, like, he said it once, but he's the white Bo Jackson. I mean.
It's another one that I just had in my head that just slipped me. But, I mean, it's an interesting conversation to bring up, man.
Yeah, the short list. But I think that's probably the short list.
This one's a little weirder one, but BJ Penn was like a black belt at 18. He won. He was the first American to win a Mundial. as an American, which is a big thing at its time. I know this is kind of like
Yep. He became a black belt in, I want to say, 3 years, which has never been done.
Yeah, or yeah, that's what it was. 18 might have been wrong, but he did it fast. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can make a good case. I mean, he earned the fastest legitimate black belt, I believe, of all time. Maybe that's changed since I've read about it, but you know, I mean, yeah, you can make a really good case for BJ. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he won the fucking. I just looked it up right now. He won the world championship in 2000 in Rio. So, I mean, there's a lot of good guys, but like, yeah, I mean, I think Alex Pereira with the win, he joins the conversation at the very least. I mean, you got to throw him in that conversation with guys like Henry Cejudo, like Brock Lesnar, like, you know, all the guys that we've just said. Like, he's in that conversation, maybe even number one, alongside with guys like Francis Ngannou and so on and so forth, right? Guys who've been able to, Alistair Overeem, guys who've been able to go across different sports. But Angel, we got to break into the X's and O's, my friend. Will he be able to do it? I mean, we know that Jiri has been out of action for a year and a half. He's likely going to be the bigger man of Fight Night, granted. You know, Alex Pereira is fucking massive at light heavyweight. And even at light heavyweight, we haven't really seen a whole lot out of Alex Pereira. We saw the one fight, but that was in Utah. You know, it was kind of a weird one. Him and Jan gassed. I mean, it was kind of weird. Do you think he'll be able to manage to defeat the former champion and become the UFC's light heavyweight champion? We've been looking for somebody to save this division. Do you think the man will be Alex Pereira on Saturday?
Well, I gotta break it down a fair bit here, Josh, because I think as far as like the guys who were ranked up there, I think this is one of the better matchups he could get, but at the same time, I think Jiri Prochazka, for being gone so long, I think he's out of all the guys who could be gone long and just come in and fight, I think he's the best out of the bunch, in my opinion, who could just go back right into it. Because, I mean, the guy is, I used to say, I felt like he was like the 205 Tony Ferguson, dude. He just did his own thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, he was violence at its finest. He was throwing spinning elbows, his legs getting wild, but he's also capable of the grappling, you know? That was the thing he had to develop in his Ryzen days, and kind of a issue he had, not necessarily an issue, but a thing he had to deal with and get better with. And the guy has, you know, we've seen an incredible discipline, and he wants to get back in there. And I think, like I said, out of all the guys who could just hop back right into it, I think that guy's Jiri Prochazka who could do it. I think Alex Pereira could definitely do some stuff here. I think he could definitely go down, walk down Jiri, find his shots, and potentially get him out of there. But I still have faith in Jiri Prochazka. I mean, that's another thing we never talk about, Josh. It was 2 fights and then the title, I believe, right? Or something along the lines of that. 2 or 3 fights.
Yeah, both of these guys did have very similar rises. Jiri had 2 fights in the title. Yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, you know what's weird, dude? Alex Pereira's career, it's weird because he was always in the corner during Globus, because he was there for the Blachowicz fight. He was there for the Jiri Prochazka fight. Like, it's weird how he's always been there. So he already has kind of some knowledge. So that's why there's kind of a little extra worry in me. I'm not 100% sure. And look, I don't think it's set in stone, like I said, because Alex Pereira's still learning this whole MMA game. I think he's still getting better. It is 5 rounds. It is at a weight class above now. I think he does feel more comfortable. He's talked about how it's easier to make weight, and I think he still is even settling into 205 and getting his proper 205 body. Mm-hmm. And like I said, Jiri's been removed from the game a while now. How many months has he been gone, Josh, since his last fight? Do you know off the top of your head by any chance?
He's been gone for 19 months.
Yeah, so over a year. I mean, that's a significant amount of time, and you know, whether you believe in ring rust or not, I don't know, man. I think being away from something at all is going to play somewhat of a factor, whatever that may be. But I think when it's time and they're in MSG and the lights shine bright, I think your Prochazka will be able to shine through once again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, man, I'm very conflicted on this fight. And if we're going to go ahead and pull up I'm still doing it right now, but the odds, I believe, on this fight are very, very close.
I got him, Josh. 105
yes,
per Tapology. 105 Jiri, minus 125 Alex.
Yeah, there you go, dude. Razor thin, damn near a pick'em. Alex is a very slight favorite. I think that sounds about right.
You gotta tip it though for Alex, right? Like, that's another thing. Sorry to cut you off, but you gotta tip.
No, go ahead.
It's incredible. Like we've been saying, short amount of time being in this position. and he's a near even against a guy who has like 30+ fights in his career in MMA. A guy who's fought in one-night tournaments, Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is crazy, dude. It really is crazy whenever you actually sit down and put it in perspective. Look, man, I'm going to go ahead and take Alex Pereira, but slightly, dude. I'm slightly taking him. It's very much a pick him. I think Jiri, I'd honestly probably pick Jiri if he did not have the questions. And that injury that he had, and he was a guy that, like, I don't know if you remember. I remember whenever he first had the injury, he vacated the title, and he's like, I'm going to be out for like a year, which ended up being about correct, But I remember he was, saying like, oh yeah, I'll be back as soon as June, I'll be back as soon as July. Like, he was saying some crazy shit, like, but his shoulder was really fucked up, man. And for first fight back, recovery seemingly went worse than he probably expected, which is why it's taken him the full, longer than a year. I'm going to go and take Alex Pereira. I just think he's the more seasoned guy, at least recently. He's very active. I think the punching power is going to be a big thing because we've seen Jiri get hurt by guys that are not known hitters because he leaves himself open. He has such an odd style, which helps him in a lot of different aspects. But one thing that it also leads to is a lot of open punches and a lot of straights down the middle. And I think Alex Pereira is he's going to land some of those, man. And I think he's probably going to get a big win. In what way? Probably by finish, man. I feel like I said, I'm very even on this one, kind of 50-50 straight down the middle. But I think Alex, he's going to be able to land and find open spaces for those clean punches. I don't think Yuri's going to have as easy of a job doing that. I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a banger, though. I think it's going to be a banger regardless. So, very excited to see it. But, Angel, my friend, it's not the only gold that's going to be available on the night of, baby. Fucking let's go, because we got in the co-main event heavyweights. Sergey Pavlovich, we knew the story. He was the backup man, but they want to keep Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic alive, and, can't blame him. So Sergey Pavlovich, who was the backup fighter for this fight, will now be taking on Tom Aspinall, who, obviously we know the story. He was a guy that we're looking at as a future champion. He had the knee injury to Curtis Blades, came back a year later and beat the fuck out of Marcin Tybura, stepping in here on 2 weeks' notice. But as he said, he was getting into training anyway, because UFC already told him that he was probably fighting for the vacant title in early 2024. Two young heavyweights, in my opinion, better than the first fight. This is the future of heavyweight mixed martial arts, man. Who do you got in this interim heavyweight title fight?
You said it right there. These guys are the future. And another thing I want to say, Josh, I don't think this is the last time these two guys will be meeting each other for some reason. I have a weird feeling about that. I don't know why, but it's just how I feel. I feel like these guys will have more than one fight whenever their career is said and done, once both their careers have concluded. But to get into it, fuck, dude. What a banger. What a banger. Both these guys are incredibly talented. When it comes to heavyweights, these are the guys that we're always talking about, right? Who's up next? Who's going to get next? Who's in question, right? And fuck, dude, Sergey Pavlovich in his return has just fucking, he's been on a fucking warpath, dude. Taking everybody out. Tom Aspinall, putting in some work too, man. Obviously, injuries kind of sidelined him, delayed him a little bit. And he's back in action. And it's weird because I feel like now I'm kind of be taking the kind of take you did, where it's like I feel more confident in Sergey Pavlovich because he's been around and he's been active, but at the same time he's been wrecking guys too. That's the other thing on top of that. And Tom Aspinall just got back. It hasn't been that long. It was an injury as well. It's only one fight in, and he's taking on this guy who's just this fast knockout machine.
Yeah.
I feel like Sergey Pavlovich is kind of my comfort pick here, but I think in 5 rounds I kind of feel confident because I know Tom can win the fight in multiple areas. As far as strictly in the UFC, I don't think we've seen that with Sergey yet, but it doesn't mean he's not capable of it.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it, man. I think comfort pick is the good way to phrase it. Because that's exactly what Sergey Pavlovich is to me. Tom Aspinall, man, it's kind of funny. Like, both of these main events, I'm picking the main and co-main largely for the same reason. I'm going to take Sergey Pavlovich. Tom Aspinall, I just got a lot of questions, especially the fact that he had the knee injury, which didn't really throw me off. I mean, he's a torn ACL. It happens, you know. I mean, there's a lot worse things you can have, especially in 2023, Achilles and so on and so forth. An ACL, I mean, fuck, dude, like, he was fine, you know. For the most part. Came back, beat Tybura, who we kind of know the story. He's okay, but he ran through him in the way that a top guy should run through Marcin Tybura. Coming in here on 2 weeks' notice. I gotta take Sergio Pavlovich. I just think he's beaten the better guys, at least to this point. Because Tom Aspinall has beaten some good names. He ran through Volkov, and he ran through Tybura. But I do think that Pavlovich has the better overall resume. Blades, Tuivasa, Lewis, you know, especially those big knockout wins too. I think on the mat is what I'm very interested to see. Because, you know, what's the big knock on Pavlovich? He had the knockout loss to Overeem back a couple of years ago where he got taken down and just battered by like a 70-year-old Alistair Overeem. So, you know, like, and he showed improved grappling in some of his more recent appearances whenever guys would try to take him down. I just, if Aspinall can get it down, it'd be very interesting. I think he's going to get caught, though. I think Pavlovich, and he only needs one. So, yeah, I mean, he's terrifying. So I'm going to go ahead and take Sergey Pavlovich to go ahead and get the win. Would I be surprised if Tom Aspinall emerged with the interim title? No, not at all. And I also think this is a much different situation than the Volk one. I saw people comparing them whenever this fight first got announced. This is much different. I mean, he's younger. He's talking about how he was, you know, already he was already been training anyway, you know, so it's a little bit different. Yeah. But I am going to go and take Sergey Pavlovich to get the win. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. Hopefully it's an excellent one. But let's be honest, Angel. I want to get your opinion before the fight, just so we can talk about it. There's no fucking way John Jones or Steve Miocic are going to fight either one of these guys, right?
No, and it's such a weird thing, right? Because it just puts the division in such an odd spot.
Yeah, I agree. This kind of the closest comparison I can make would be whenever Bisping was out due to injury, you know, in like 2017, and they booked that like interim title fight between Robert Whittaker and Yoel Romero. And everybody knew that, like, the winner of that fight was not going to face the winner of Bisping GSP. You know what I mean? This is basically the closest thing that we can have. But even then, this is a little bit different because we still don't really know exactly what John's going to do. I think Stipe is going to be done regardless, though. But nonetheless, man.
I think they're going to do their one fight and they're out. Right? Like, that just makes the most sense, right? I don't think John will come back for another. Like, I was kind of hoping for it, but I think now with the injury and everything, I think this kind of will cement his exit from the sport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's about how I feel, too. So, I would have loved to see John Jones and Steve Miocic fight either one of these guys, but if they don't, it is what it is. This is going to be an excellent fight regardless. Nonetheless, man. Just one fight down. This is an excellent fight, man. It's a battle of the Brazilians, Angel.
Yeah.
Mackenzie Dern taking on Jessica Andrade. Man, Mackenzie Dern coming in here, still looking to get that title shot. 30 years old. She appears to be hitting her prime. She's had multiple fights now where it's like she's gotten a bit of a close-up. She's had a main event. And she, you know, the Yan Xiaonan fight and the Marina Rodriguez fight, she just barely suffered a decision loss those nights. Rebounded with a win over Angela Hill in May. Now she's going to be taking on the former champion Andrade, coming in here on a 3-fight losing streak. This is going to be her 4th fight of the year, and she needs it badly, man. What do you think about this fight, man? Mackenzie Dern, you know, she's always been somebody that, like, I really think, like, this is a matchup that's not good for her normally, but dude, I mean, Jessica Andrade, a lot of question marks coming into this one.
Dude, I can't believe this is this girl's 5th fight of the year. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
I mean, look, the thing about Mackenzie Dern is you got to tip it, man. She's been putting in that work. We've seen the training videos. We've seen that she's been out there in Arizona putting in some work with Henry Cejudo. She's dedicated to the game. You've seen that she's trying to improve, trying to get better. She's not just leaning on the jiu-jitsu. She's trying to develop that wrestling too to get that to the ground. Because that was a big knock on her for a while. Her issue was she was good on the mat, but the issue is she couldn't get the fight to the mat. And then on top of that, her hands weren't fully there enough to even kind of make enough of a disturbance so she could threaten the takedown. And we've noticed in her last fight, there was an improvement in that department. So I think this fight is going to show, okay, is she able to use all of that against this super talented gal who we know can do a little bit of everything as well. You know what I mean? The only knock I'd say on this fight a little bit, we know Jessica Andrade is kind of going more than she's coming. So that's where I kind of feel a bit weird about it. But at the same time, I think it's still a challenge no matter what for Mackenzie Dern. Because Jessica Andrade is still game. She's still going to be there. She's still going to show up. And, I mean, I don't know. Anything is possible, man. I mean, I'm going Mackenzie Dern because I think this will be her, in a way, coming out party, but not necessarily coming out party either.
Yeah, same page, man. I mean, this will be a coming out party. I mean, they put her on this card in this position with this opponent for this reason. You know what I mean? I would not be surprised if she even won this fight and got a title shot very soon afterwards. I mean, so we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with Wei Li, you know? But yeah, man, I mean, I'm expecting Mackenzie Dern to get a statement win here. I don't know if Jessica Andrade is like past her prime or if it's just because she's taken so much damage in her recent fights or she's only 32, but she's been fighting professionally for over a decade now, you know? And also, I mean, she just keeps on taking these short notice fights too. I mean, I don't believe this one's short notice, but you know, fuck man. I mean, 4th fight of the year, dude. It's rough. So, anyways, man, next up on the main card, I am so fucking psyched for this fight, man. Benoit Saint Denis, fresh off a knockout win over Thiago Moises in September. He's back taking on Matt Steamroller Frivola, ranked in the lightweight division. 3 knockout wins in a row, last defeating Drew Dober back in May. This fight screams banger. It screams pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be an absolute excellent one. Who do you got, man? Obviously, Benoit Saint Denis, he's the hyped-up guy right now. But Matt Frivola just keeps on pulling out all this stuff and pulling off some big upsets. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big one for Matt Frivola, man. I think if he wins this, for me, I'll finally be like, okay, I believe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to say his other wins haven't been impressive. They've been great. He's done a good job on all of them. But Saint Denis has been in this good level competition now that he's fighting at 155, man. And if he does win, if Saint Denis wins here and beats Matt Frivola, I won't be too surprised. I won't be surprised at all, really. But if Matt Frivola beats Saint Denis, I will be very surprised, Josh. Because like I said, I've been kind of on the fence about him. I've been like, I don't know. You're ranked, but I'm not saying you don't deserve it, but in comparison to the guys who are also there, I don't feel like he personally stands out for me to think, oh man, he's gonna beat this guy and get up there and all of that. Especially when he's already lost a guy like Armin Sarukin, you know? So that's the other big thing for me. But I'm going to say Denis, Josh, I'm feeling it. I think this is kind of this is gonna be a banger. Let's just say it's gonna be a banger.
Oh, it's absolutely gonna be a banger, man. I'm so fucking psyched for this fight. Benoit Saint Denis, man. I mean, we've talked about it for a while now, man. Or at least I've tried to push him hardcore. I mean, this guy, the God of War, dude. I mean, he's like, what the fuck? I mean, he's a former fucking army member, you know, like, former Marine, excuse me. I mean, this guy's fucking dangerous. Matt Frivola can absolutely win this fight. I think Benoit Saint Denis leaves himself very wide open. So this first round is especially going to be interesting to see. But I think if he can take the punches, and I expect he will, this guy has a fucking ridiculous chin that we've seen so far. I expect him to get the win. And Matt Frivola is a dog, and I liked his winning streak, and I like his story right now, but damn, dude, Benoit Saint Denis is coming through, and I fully expect him to get a win on Saturday. Lastly, opening up the main card should be another, like, you know, the 2 fights to open up the main card, Matt Frivola, Benoit Saint Denis, and now Diego Lopez taking on Pat Sabatini. These fights aren't like top tier guys. They're not going to jump off the page a whole lot. But goddamn, are they entertaining guys, man. Diego Lopez, his 3rd fight in the UFC, suffered a decision loss to Movsar Iloev back in May. Rebounded with a dominating win over Gavin Tucker. Now will return to take on Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini, 32-year-old out of Philly. Currently coming off a win over Lucas Almeida. Prior to that, you know, won 6 fights in a row. Same with Chin is a loss to Damon Jackson, but no shame in there, man. This is going to be a banger to open up the main card. Who do you got in this one up at featherweight?
Look, man, I've followed Diego Lopez's career for a decent bit of time now, and I know he's good. I know he's game. But look, I got to give some credit to Pat Sabatini, dude, because he also has a very strong ground game, very good. I think a very good wrestling base as well. I think he's gonna get it done here. I know a lot of people have gotten kind of hyped up because they saw Diego Lopez come in on short notice and do good against Movsar Ilivev. And they think Diego Lopez is good, but there's been times where I feel like he's falling short to this level of competition that I felt like he should have beaten at the time. I think Sabatini will probably get it here, and I think he'll be able to avoid any chokes, avoid any danger on the ground. And I'm almost curious: is the fight even going to go to the ground, or are they going to try to keep it on the feet? Because they both have very good, capable abilities on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. We're going to split here. I'm going to take Diego Lopez, man. I like Pat Sabatini a lot. I still think he's very, very good. But Diego Lopez, man, 28 years young. I think he's the more electric man. I think he's going to go out there and get a stop. Maybe not a stoppage win, because Pat Sabatini's a fucking dog. But I've been very impressed with his 2 UFC outings thus far. I expect him to go ahead and get out there and get a win on Saturday night. Nonetheless, I'm sure it'll be a close one. In terms of the rest of this card, there are some big names, maybe not exactly as stacked as some of these MSG cards in the past, but what fights do you most want to talk about, man?
Ooh. Let me look. Let me scroll down a little bit. One for me, and I gotta, actually, I'm gonna highlight these two guys individually. Now that I'm looking at it here. Steve Erceg and Joshua Van, 2 guys at 125 who just came up this year. I mean, they just made their UFC debuts this year, and both looked very good. I mean, Steve Erceg came in here, gave a guy, I think it was David Dvorak, guy who was ranked a very good performance on short notice too. Wasn't in the UFC, and bam, he's in the rankings like that. I mean, you got to tip that always. And Joshua Van, another guy, young, 22 years young, 125er, comes in, fights Alagazam Magulov, gets a split decision. He's fighting an older, a vet, a guy with a fair bit of experience. And I'm kind of interested because they're giving him Kevin Borjas, who's also UFC newcomer, so you can kind of see that they kind of want to build up both these guys, both these young guys. I believe Kevin is 23. I could be wrong, if not, at least in his early 20s. And like I said, Josh is 22. So I'm kind of glad to see that they're giving these young guys, they're building them up. They're not just throwing them into the fire.
Yeah, dude. I mean, hey, I fucking love seeing young guys down at flyweight. Flyweight's a division that we've talked about that nearly got cut, you know what I mean? Like, and because of that, when I don't even know how many fans know this, but back in like 2018 or 2019, like they literally were in the process. They cut down to like 11 flyweights or some shit. You know what I mean? And they just signed a couple of older guys, and you don't really see too many young guys down at flyweight. I'm very happy you shut that fight out, man. That should be an absolute banger. Or at the very least, it's just good to see like a non-ranked like flyweight fight. You know what I mean? Like it's just good to see younger guys competing down there at a weight class that does not get a lot of attention. In terms of myself, Tabitha Ricci versus Lupi Godinez is going to be a fucking banger. Tabitha Ricci's won like 4 in a row, I believe. Lupi has won 3 in a row. They both beaten some very good names. Excited to see it. Roosevelt Roberts, he's an interesting one, man. Stepping in here on not short notice, but yeah, never mind. Actually, yeah, he last fought at fucking Eagle FC, dude. Which shows you how long that's been. Last May. And now he's stepping in here, getting a second UFC offer, take on Mateusz Rebecki. It's going to be his second UFC stint. We'll see how it goes for him. Jared Gordon, Mark Madsen clashing at lightweight, 2 vets. Excited to see that one, man. Admittedly, on these prelims, there's not a whole lot I have to say, but it is still a very solid card, man. Just to kind of wrap up, what are your thoughts, man?
I'm excited, man. I'm happy. Another pay-per-view, big card. Next pay-per-view is about to go crazy, especially with all these fights they just announced that I know we'll be talking about here in a bit. But I'm hyped, man. Obviously, we did lose Sean Jones, Stipe, because I think that was a big moment still in the sport, Josh, that we're not going to get to enjoy right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but I think we're going to get it. I really do. I don't think either one of those guys will retire without facing off, man. That being said, just partially because of the money too. Also, I mean, I think they both wanted that fight forever, so we'll see it. But nonetheless, man, we do have honestly a lot of news to talk about. So I think it's just fair to go ahead and straight into it, man. We talked about it on the show a couple weeks ago. Jake Paul announced that he will be returning in December 15th. This will be on DAZN, not pay-per-view. And we kind of figured, okay, with that being the case, he's probably going to face somebody that's not a big name. Probably going to be, if it is a big name, they're not going to be a boxer. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of had a good idea. We ended up being pretty much right on the money. Jake Paul will face Andre August, record 10-1-1. 5 knockouts, December 15th in Orlando, Florida. This will be an 8-round cruiserweight fight. And, look, man, Andre August coming off of a decision win over 7-0 Brandon Martin earlier this year. He said, I don't talk, in a quote given to me via press release earlier this morning, quote, I don't talk very much. I'm all about that action. Jake Paul has the money, the fame, the team, and the resources, but he doesn't have my hunger. When that bell rings, I'm going to go straight to Jake Paul and ring his bell and send him back to YouTube for good. Look, man, Jake Paul.
What a quote, by the way. That was pretty good.
That is pretty good. And, look, man, and some people have already done their digging on this guy, and I've watched some film already. I mean, he has a really good left hook, there's some attributes, but there is a clear reason why they picked him. I mean, he's the shorter man. He's not very active. In fact, he took a 4-year hiatus prior to his most recent fight. In 2018, he got knocked out, which is his loss, and that was the guy that he got knocked out by has a record of 7-16.
Now he does. At the time he did.
At the time he was 3-3. We have to be fair. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, first thoughts, Angel. I mean, we kind of expected something like this.
I mean, it's got to set up, man. This is just a boxing game, I'm not surprised. I mean, you see other boxers kind of give fights like this. Even a guy like Canelo. When he fought, oh my God, I can't even think of the guy's name. Was he Turkish? I could be wrong. I'm trying to find, Yildirim. When he fought Evin Yildirim.
Yeah.
Was Turkish, I was right. That was kind of one where you're like, what? I don't know. Even guys at the high level still get kind of fights that are kind of like a little, so I'm not surprised. This is typical boxing, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. It is absolutely typical boxing. There's honestly not a whole lot to really say about this. I mean, I've watched some film of this guy. He's probably going to get knocked the fuck out inside of a round or two. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but like when you're signing a guy on like short notice like this and, he's a tune-up fighter. He's a club level fighter, so he'll probably win, but, it is what it is, man. It is what it is, and excited to see him back and hope, you know what, at the very least, good for this guy. Like, fucking good for this guy. 100%. Like, this is a guy like, right? Imagine this, dude. Imagine this. Imagine you take off 4 years of boxing for whatever reason. I don't know why. I guess we'll find out throughout the press build-up or whatever. But he took off 4 years from 2019 to 2023, came back, won a fight in August, and now he just randomly gets this bag. Like, that's fucking crazy. Like, that's literally going to change his life. So, at the very least, I'm happy for this kid, I say kid, he's 35 years old. But, good for him, man. Good for him. But we do have some real fights to talk about, Angel. Because Dana White,
Misfits?
man. No. We do have they did announce a card. B-Dave versus, I believe, Jarvis. But there's not a whole lot I care about the undercard. Do you?
Something, I haven't even looked at it, to be honest with you. But I'll check it out whenever it happens here in a week. It's going down on a Friday, funny enough. Like, it's not even like a Friday at like noon.
Which is interesting. That's an interesting call. But it's kind of, I don't want to say a throwaway card, but they do have a lot of, lower tier names on there. Nonetheless though, man, we have some real fight announcements from the UFC, from the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Dana White, man. Oh, he got on there. And just normally there's like rumors, for some of these fights, dude. I didn't see any of these coming, man. We'll start off with UFC 297, set for January in Canada. In the main event, Sean Strickland will be meeting DDP, Dricus du Plessis, for the middleweight title, it will not be Khamzat Chimaev. He was supposed to get the title shot with the winner of Kamaru Usman. He will apparently not be getting that. But it's alright though, because in the co-main event, we're also going to be getting a women's bantamweight champion. Amanda Nunes retired back in June in Canada, funnily enough, and they decided to pick up exactly where they left off because we're going to be having, of all the variations of a women's title fight, Angel, I don't think this is the one that anybody saw coming. Mayra Bueno Silva will be taking on Raquel Pennington for the women's bantamweight title in the co-main event. Give me your thoughts on this card, man. We'll go straight down the line to the other fighting outfits in a minute, but in terms of 297, man, this is going to be a big one.
I mean, as far as the main event, I think the main event's good. I think the co-main event is good enough. I think, especially because that is, I mean, they're going to be, is this for the vacant title? So they switched it up on me because I thought Juliana was going to end up being in the title fight regardless or something like that. Or this was going to be, the winner of this was going to be the other half of the main event for the title fight versus Juliana. So they said, fuck that. They're straight up just doing Raquel Bueno Silva for the title.
Yeah, Juliana Pena was supposed to fight for the title, but apparently she is hurt.
Ah, okay.
So, apparently that's why.
Thank you for clarifying for me. I mean, look, like I said, I think it's good enough as the co-main event. I think it'll still be a good fight. Both these girls are game. I think, even doing as far as like star power and names, maybe, that's not really there, but I think fight-wise, I think it'll be good enough. And looking just at the undercard a bit of this, of UFC, what is it, 297 you said?
Yeah.
I think it'll end up being a pretty decent, without, obviously getting into it in preview, I think it'll end up being a pretty good night of fights.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. It's a really, I mean, that main and co-main, I mean, the main event I'm psyched for. And imagine telling somebody in fucking January that, oh yeah, a year from now, Sean Strickland and Dricus Duplessis are going to be fighting for the middleweight title, dude. Just fucking imagine telling somebody that. Mind-boggling to think about. But I will say, the co-main event, hilarious. I don't know how you feel about it. Of all the variations, like, people don't give a fuck about this division as it is. And giving the title shot to Mayra Bueno Silva after she failed the drug test and had her win overturned anyway, it's the funniest shit.
Yeah, it is a bit odd, isn't it?
Cause she's technically not even on the roster right now. Because she's suspended. She's still suspended. She's suspended until like December 29th or something, right?
I know.
Yeah. So like she's not even in the rankings. Yeah, I really thought they would have gone Holly Holm or obviously if Juliana was out. I mean, there's still other options that I thought would have made more sense, but
Holly Holm, Raquel Pennington could have been a good fight.
Yeah, and well, they've fought twice already, and neither fight was good. But it would have been a bigger fight,
Yeah.
Or Holly versus they could have done. Fuck, dude. Like there's many things they could have done. And I remember I saw like the whenever this fight got announced on social media, people were just losing their minds. Like, oh my god, this is poor Canadian fans, bro. Like,
yeah. I don't think I think it's still a good card.
Yeah, and I actually think Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Bueno Silva could have like a lot of like that should be fun actually. Like I think there's gonna be a couple fun grappling exchanges in that one probably. Like I don't think it'll be that terrible. It's just not exactly what I was expecting. But anyways, man, we do have a couple of other fight announcements. UFC 298. After Alexander Volkanovski lost to Islam Makhachev, he said, "I want to stay active." Well, that's exactly what he's going to be doing. He'll be taking on Ilia Topuria. In apparently the rumored location is L.A. By the way.
I saw something else that said Australia.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
we've both seen different things. Then I believe Topuria himself said something like L.A. So
there was he made like an official kind of, or I don't know if he did or someone did or UFC did, but there was kind of like an actual big production video that he did announcing the fight that said L.A. But then I saw something else that said it's actually not going to be in California. It's going to be in Australia. But if it is in California, Josh, we get to see what a Volkanovski paycheck looks like.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of interesting if it does end up happening there.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, man. I mean, look, this is an excellent fight. It's the one I've wanted to see. It's literally one of the greatest fights I think the UFC could possibly make right now. Like, I understand that Volkanovski's coming off a loss, and I'm glad they did not let him come back in January. I'm glad they pushed him back a month, Very, very excited to see this one. And I know that everybody thinks Volkanovski is head and shoulders above everybody. But I don't know, man. I mean, Ilia Topuria, man. I mean, he's got something about him. He just feels inevitable. But so does Volkanovski, man. So, very excited to see it. Nonetheless, we do have one final fight announcement, and it is Sugar Sean O'Malley. The Sugar Show will be back in March to take on Marlon Chito Oliveira, coming off a win over Pedro Munoz, in August. We kind of knew this one was in the pipeline for quite a while.
You saw people on Twitter were trying to act surprised, bro. Come on, guys. You know this is gonna happen.
I know. It's definitely still fucking stupid though, but I mean, it is,
It's the Sugar Show, Josh. Sugar Show does what he wants.
No, I know. We don't pick fights around here. We don't do gimmick fights unless, I'm just fucking around, but, regardless.
That lead up to be good though.
Huh?
The lead up to this fight to be very good.
No, this is an awesome fight. It just, it's just, I hate that they're forcing it. I actually think this fight, I would have been totally down for this fight if they went out there and Cheeto actually earned a title shot. You know what I mean? And it made logical sense. Be it as it is right now, this fight doesn't really make any sense, but nonetheless, it should be a banger. They're going to headline UFC 299. I don't think there's a rumored location for this one right now.
I'm going to assume Vegas, probably.
Yeah, probably Vegas. Nonetheless, it's going to be a banger, man. What do you think about this fight announcement? And how
we knew it was going to come up. We just didn't know what if it's going to be on 299 or 300 or whatever. But Josh, doesn't this kind of make you wonder though? Like, they have these 3 really big fucking fights. What's UFC 300 going to be? It's kind of.
Yeah, it's got
next month too's pay-per-view, which will be Colby Covington, Leon Edwards, and then the Pantoja, Brandon Royval. Like, I'm kind of really thrown off. Like, it's kind of looking like we're going to get Conor McGregor, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's going to be Conor. I mean, I think it's lining up, like, kind of perfectly, It has to be really, but I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it depends on a lot of different factors, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If Alex Pereira wins on Saturday night, Angel, I'm just saying. And even Alex Pereira was
I know what you're about to say.
I'm just saying.
Let the people know, Josh. Let the people know, Josh. I know what you're going to say, but let the people know.
They're going to do Izzy versus Alex Pereira 3 if he wins.
But tell me what weight class, Josh. Tell me the fucking weight class.
It's going to be a light heavyweight. It's going to be for the UFC light heavyweight title. The trilogy.
Could you imagine? Wouldn't it make sense? 300 trilogy? It just, dude. Plot armor, right?
Dude. Man. And you know what? I don't even, it wouldn't make any sense for them to do it and give Izzy a title shot at light heavyweight, but like,
they could do it.
They're establishing the principle now that if you have beef with somebody, you can just skip the line. If you guys have that level of beef, if you guys just want to fight that bad, fuck it, Like,
could you imagine if Kai Kara France and chat, dude, Miguel Cape and then would have fought an eternity ago?
Jesus Christ. Anyways, man, I mean, I'm very, man, it's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be interesting. This fight, I don't understand why people were surprised about it. I mean, I think it was pretty clear they were gonna do this for a while. That's why they even put them on the same card together, back in August. So yeah, I'm not that surprised. Let's get it done. Let's keep the division moving. Because you got, I mean, Merab deserves a title shot. Corey deserves a title shot. If we were going by the consistent rules of, being a champion with multiple title defenses, Aljo also deserves a title shot. You know what I mean? So there's multiple different guys. So we got to keep the division moving. And at the very least, if they're going to book a fight like this, I'm happy they're doing it relatively soon. I mean, 4 months from now, but still, time in MMA moves very fast. So Nonetheless, speaking of time moving fast, Jorge Masvidal will not be doing time after allegedly assaulting Colby Covington last March. They were, as I've spoken about on the show, they were at the Poppy Steak Bar and Grill when apparently Jorge Masvidal, I guess I don't have to say apparently anymore, did attack Colby Covington and punched him, knocked out several of his teeth. He reached a plea deal and will not be doing any time. He had time served, and Jorge Masvidal is now a free man. He's able to put this behind him. Afterwards, he immediately got online and threatened Colby Covington again. What did you think about this news and this saga?
Dude, I fucking completely forgot these guys were still going through all this shit like a while back. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
But at least it's over though.
Yeah, it's good that it's over. I mean, this is over. This is almost 2 years in the making, Angel. I mean, we're, 4 months away from it being 2 years. Crazy to think about. I mean, Jorge, he said he's gonna, this probably clears the way for a return. I mean, he's already said that he's gonna come back. Like, Jorge Masvidal has confirmed that, So, at least in boxing. I don't know if did we talk about that on the show already?
No, not really.
Oh, well, yeah, Jorge Masvidal did recently confirm in an interview with ESPN that he is coming back in fully 100%. He said he can't announce it yet, but that it's going to be a big name in boxing in 2023.
Who do you think it would be?
Who do I think it would be? I don't think it's going to be Jake Paul because he just had a fight announced, and I think, they're semi-friendly. I could see it being Logan, but I don't think Logan would want to take another fight so soon. I don't know.
One more guy, Josh. The Nightmare!
Oh,
KSI!
No, he's not gonna fight KSI. I don't know who the fuck Jorge's gonna box, dude. I literally don't know. Maybe he'll box like an actual boxer. Maybe he'll box like an older name or something. I don't know. Maybe he'll find. I mean, he'll pull a Jake Paul, dude. What if that's exactly what he does? Like, instead of boxing older MMA fighters, Jorge decides to box old boxers, He's like, fucking, where's Zab Judah at, anyways, though. Yeah, Masvidal, dude, big wins for him this week. Big wins. He got the charges dropped. He's coming back. But he may end up fighting Chael Sonnen, if their online beef is anything to take anything away from. Chael Sonnen has been going back and forth with Jorge Masvidal. Cause Jorge, after, he threatened Colby Covington again, Chael got involved, and he's been mocking him online. Chael Sonnen's going to war with everybody right now. He's arguing with Ariel Helwani, man. He's going back and forth with journalists about the antitrust lawsuit, man. Not saying any shit that's accurate, but doing it nonetheless. What are you thinking? You want to see Jorge Masvidal versus Chael Sonnen?
I'd be down.
I would also be down. Fuck it. Who cares? Light heavyweight. Let's do it. Why don't they just throw him on this weekend's card at this point,
They could do it in Jorge's bare knuckle promotion, too. Never know.
Exactly. Why not? I don't know why Chael Sonnen and Jorge Masvidal are honestly beefing. You know what I mean? They got more in common than they don't. They both got the plea deal earlier this year,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they're both vibing, man,
5-on-1. What was he say? 5-on-1, 4-on-1. They're all gonna need 9-1-1 or whatever the fuck the saying is.
The exact quote is 1-on-1, 2-on-1, or 5-on-1. They're all gonna need 9-1-1. So, and that proved to be accurate. So,
Is that crazy?
Yeah, man, pretty fucking crazy. Yeah, we'll see what happens with this story. I got a feeling this one's not done. If Jorge Masvidal's recent track record with talking shit to people is anything to go by, we should be seeing an arrest in about 3 weeks from now. But anyways, any closing thoughts on that or anything else you want to talk about, Angel?
No, none specifically. I think we covered everything very well. I'm excited to come back next week, recap the pay-per-view, and close out this amazing year.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I'm at Josh Soundoff on Twitter, at Angel_Ortega_01, and then also at Courtside Sound for all things relating to the show. Looking to hit 1,300 subscribers by the end of the year, guys. Hope you guys help us get there, and hope you guys just enjoy the content in general. Peace and butt grease. Mouse click.